Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing another Not Just Bikes reaction. This time we're going to be checking out why cars rarely crash into buildings in the Netherlands. Um, if you're not from America, you probably don't realize it, but we do actually have quite a bit of cars just crashing into buildings for whatever random reason. I don't know if it's all city design flaws or car mechanical failures or exactly what the deal is. Driver negligence, perhaps. Who knows? Maybe all of them, right? Um, Evidently, cars don't crash into buildings in the Netherlands that much. This is something that's new to me. I completely kind of struck me as odd because it's weird that, like, you know what I mean? Not saying that it's normal, but it's just weird that one country would have less than another. I figured it would just be like unanimous across the board. Maybe there's less drivers there. Who knows? But anyways, links down below for the original video. Go check that out. Show the original channel some love and drop a like on their video. Let's get into it.
I've lived in Amsterdam for over a year and a half now, and it occurred to me the other day that I haven't seen a car crash into a building yet. It's not that cars never crash into buildings in the Netherlands, but it is exceedingly rare, and I hadn't seen it or heard of it happening until I went looking for articles about it. When we were living in Toronto, my son's preschool was here. One day, we noticed a car had smashed into the drugstore here, a place that we walked every day because the streetcar stop was here. A few weeks later, a car smashed into a pizza shop here on the other side of his preschool. Incidentally, around the same
Hmm.
time, a speeding SUV ran a red light and knocked over a school bus a few blocks away. But that
Wow.
doesn't count here because a school
Jeez.
bus.
All of this happened in 6 months, just in that one little spot. That's what I'm talking about. It happens. I didn't know that it happened that often, but then again, I don't live in a populated city like he does. There's only 6,000 people here. 6 months. That's crazy.
And knocked over a school bus a few blocks away. But that doesn't count here because a school bus is not a building. Cars crashing into buildings
True.
is pretty common in the US and Canada.
Good evening. It's a dramatic scene and the third call for a car smashing into a home in a single day.
In
Jeez.
Toronto, cars crash into buildings so often that in many cases it doesn't even make the news.
I mean, I knew it happened, but I didn't actually know it happened this often until he's doing this. Like, that's very interesting.
I tried to search for a news article about the drugstore by my son's preschool. I couldn't find it. But I did find an article about a car crashing into this Shoppers Drug Mart, and this one, 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 and this one.
They just don't cover them all, huh?
In fact, the only place I found any information at all was in this Reddit post by someone who saw it. The news did report on the pizza store crash, though, so there's that.
Why would the news not even cover it? Like, that's kind of strange. Like, it's news. It happened. Is it just because it happened so often it just fell through the cracks? Like, wow. Maybe Toronto people just don't know how to drive. I don't know. Bit excessive.
Now, a lot of people in Canada and in the US brush this stuff off by saying, it was some old person that mixed up the brake pedal and the gas pedal.
Sorry about that. My son's out there and he like threw a ball or something at the door to my room.
Brush this stuff off by saying, it was some old person that mixed up the brake pedal and the gas pedal, or a drunk driver.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll say it was due to bad weather. Now, ignoring city design that forces everyone, even very old people, to have to drive everywhere, the truth is a lot of these crashes are in the middle of the day, in
What?
clear weather, have to drive
What
everywhere.
happens here?
The truth is,
That car is airborne right now. Where did it come from? It just flew out of nowhere over this car into the parking lot. What is... Jeez.
a lot of these crashes are in the middle of the day, in clear
That car didn't even get touched. It just cleared it completely. That is insane.
weather by regular drivers. And the common factor is speed.
Jeez.
North American roads are designed to be wide and straight. They weren't always built like that, but over time, roads were widened and straightened in the name of safety for drivers.
So they say.
Unfortunately, we now know that wide, straight roads make people drive faster. And when you remove complexity from the street, like removing trees and putting buildings farther away, it's harder to judge your speed by your surroundings. So in this kind of environment, almost every driver drives really fast without even thinking about it.
You know, good point. I never thought about it like that, but that is good because That's a good point. I never Yeah, because the relative distance and everything, it makes sense because when you're in a car that's closer to the ground, you feel faster. When you're in a vehicle that's farther, higher up from the ground, even going the same speed or even going faster, it just feels all around slower. So I guess the distance between you, wow, that's a good thought.
When living in Toronto, I remember seeing this tweet from the police. Ignoring why any street by a school would have a 50 km/h speed limit, why is it even physically possible to drive over 100 kilometers an hour down this street?
What's 50 kilometers in miles per hour, guys? We don't use kilometers here. $31. 30 is about what we have in our school zones here, I think.
Possible to drive over 100 kilometers an hour down this street. But seeing drivers going double the speed limit was literally a daily occurrence for us.
Yeah, that's not cool though. So they're going over 60 miles per hour then. That would be the equivalent of what they were actually going in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, essentially. Not safe.
In Toronto, it has become completely normalized.
Jeez.
Incidentally, after the 1960s, roads
Ultra.
became wide and straight in the Netherlands too. But a few decades later, Dutch cities realized their mistake and purposely narrowed streets to increase safety.
Speaking of Ultric, I actually have a person helping me right now with my ancestry family tree. And evidently, I have a lot of Dutch ancestry, as it turns out, on my mother's side. I haven't seen it yet on the tree. We're trying to get her in there as an editor so she can contribute to the tree, but she did her own research. Very interesting. I will be making a video about my ancestry at some point. If you're interested in that, go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on videos when I do drop them. And it just takes like a second of your time. And it just helps, like I said, when I drop a video, you'll be more informed.
Bicycle Dutch has a fantastic video about this that I'll link to in the description.
Bicycle Dutch is a great channel, guys. You should definitely go check it out.
Everybody should watch it. So wide straight roads increase vehicle speeds, and an increase in speeds turns what would normally be a small crash, or maybe no crash at all, into this.
Oh, wow.
Now,
More
the other
airborne
difference
cars.
is that in the Netherlands, if there's a serious crash, the road is closed and there's an investigation as to why the crash happened and what might be done to prevent it.
Right.
In Canada, they clean up the mess and that's it. There will be a police investigation for insurance purposes, but nothing will be done about the road.
Right.
There's a cultural element to this. In English-speaking countries, there's a big emphasis on personal responsibility. When a crash happens, the discussion immediately jumps to which person is at fault. And especially when people are hit by cars, victim blaming is very common. That person clearly must have done something wrong to get hit by a car. So when a building gets hit by a car, it's always fun to make the same arguments. That house must have been looking at their phone. Or, that drugstore shouldn't have been wearing dark clothing. Or, if the building had a reflective vest and some lights, this never would have happened.
Blaming, yeah.
The approach taken by the Netherlands and some other countries like Sweden is very different. They say that road crashes are preventable. Humans are imperfect and they make mistakes, so road infrastructure should be designed so that those mistakes don't result in serious injury.
Damn good way of thinking. Very nice.
That results in things like separating different types of traffic,
Yeah.
narrowing roads and adding complexity to get people to drive slower, restricting car traffic to residents only, and many other different kinds of traffic calming.
Nice.
There can be wide straight roads here too, but when you get into the city, the infrastructure changes, and when a crash does happen, the investigation includes the actions of the driver, of course, but also what could change about the infrastructure to prevent a similar crash in the future.
Exactly. Always room for improvement, guys. Always trying to look to make things more efficient all the way around. That's where it's at.
The roads in the Netherlands were designed this way on purpose, and they haven't always been this way. A lot of this change only started in the 90s.
Yeah, because in the 70s, man, the Netherlands, the car thing almost ruined like Amsterdam and everything. I did a reaction on that. If you're interested, it's on my channel. Yeah, it was different back then. How highways almost destroyed a city, I think is what it is.
These roads came about by putting victim blaming and finger pointing aside and focusing on the street itself and how to make it safer.
Man, it
The
looks
end
beautiful
result
there.
is a city that's a lot more comfortable to be in, especially when you're outside of a vehicle. And for us, that results in a better quality of life. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy living somewhere where cars generally aren't crashing into buildings.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. So, what do you guys think about that? Is it the infrastructure's fault? Is it driver error? You know, let me know down below. Hit like, hit subscribe. Have a super fun, awesome day, and I will catch you in the next one. All right, take care.